Have you ever felt like life is weighing you down, burdened by the opinions of others, material possessions, or even relationships that no longer serve you? What if I told you that the key to true happiness and freedom lies in letting go of these unnecessary burdens? In this video, we're going to explore how releasing these invisible weights can lead to a life of deeper joy and peace, especially as we age. Whether it's cutting ties with toxic people, embracing your authentic beauty, or saying no to obligations that drain your energy, this video will guide you through the process of reclaiming your life. Stick around, because by the end, you'll not only understand how to let go of what holds you back, but also discover practical steps to live a more intentional and fulfilled life. Starting today, ready to unlock the secret to a lighter, happier existence? Let's dive in. If you are not subscribed, I recommend subscribing and activating the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support means a lot to me. And if you enjoyed this video, you can help me continue spreading the valuable lessons by liking and sharing it. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and make better videos for you. Now, let's begin. 1. Letting go of others' opinions. Letting go of others' opinions is one of the most liberating and emotional experiences you can give yourself. Think about those times in your life when you made a decision, not because it truly reflected what you wanted, but because you were afraid of what others might say. Maybe it was your family whose expectations weighed heavily on your heart, or perhaps it was a friend whose judgment you feared. Maybe it was a faceless stranger on social media, someone who doesn't even truly know you, yet you let their potential criticism influence your choices. It's heartbreaking, isn't it? Over the years, we begin to mold our lives to fit into the image others expect of us, slowly losing sight of who we truly are, bit by bit. But here's the raw, beautiful truth. No one else's opinion can or should ever define your worth. Can you imagine the peace that comes from knowing that your value isn't tied to the fleeting judgments of others? By the time you've lived through 5, 6, or 7 decades, you've earned the absolute right to make decisions that align with your own heart, without the paralyzing fear of judgment. You've seen enough, felt enough, endured enough to know that the opinions of others are just background noise in the symphony of your life. There's a certain clarity that comes with age, a wisdom that feels like a soothing balm to the soul. And with that clarity comes the freedom to finally live for yourself. Picture living a life where every choice you make is rooted in your values, your desires, your truth. How incredible would it feel to no longer twist and bend yourself to fit into someone else's mold? To finally say, this is who I am, and I no longer care if others approve or not. What would your life look like if you stopped worrying about the judgments of others? Imagine the weight that would lift off your shoulders, the lightness you'd feel in your heart. You'd reclaim your power, that inner strength that's been there all along, waiting for you to take it back, living authentically, unapologetically. How transformative would that be? How much joy, peace, and self-love could you finally invite into your life? 2. Releasing material possessions. Releasing material possessions is one of the most freeing acts you can experience, yet it's also one of the hardest to embrace. Now, take a deep breath and look around you. Look at all the things you've accumulated over the years. The clothes spilling out of closets, the gadgets collecting dust, the furniture you no longer even notice. Ask yourself honestly, how much of this brings you joy? How much of it adds real value to your life? We often don't realize just how much we've gathered until we stop and truly see it. Over time, we accumulate so much that our homes, and eventually our hearts, start to feel cluttered and weighed down. There's something deeply emotional about the process of holding on to things. Maybe it's the sentimental attachment to an item that reminds us of a special time, or maybe it's the comforting illusion that these possessions somehow give our lives meaning. We cling to these things as if they define who we are. We convince ourselves that having more makes us feel safer, more secure, more successful. But here's the hard truth. The more we hold on to, the heavier our lives become. Every extra piece of clutter carries its invisible weight, adding to the emotional and mental load we're already carrying. Have you ever felt that heaviness in your own life? That subtle sense of being overwhelmed by all the things you own, but no longer use or even need? It's as if the more we surround ourselves with material possessions, the further we move from the things that truly matter. And the truth is, true happiness has never been found in things. It doesn't come from the fancy gadgets, the extra clothes, or the latest furniture. No amount of stuff can fill the deeper longings of the soul. Real joy comes from something much more meaningful. Experiences that touch our hearts, relationships that uplift and inspire us, and personal growth that brings us closer to who we truly are. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. Letting go of material possessions is like breathing fresh air for the first time in years. Imagine walking into a space free of clutter, where every item that surrounds you serves a purpose or brings you genuine happiness. How much lighter would you feel? It's not just about clearing physical space. It's about clearing emotional space as well. When you let go of things, you make room for more important things: connection, peace, and a sense of freedom you may have forgotten was possible. You reclaim energy that was once spent managing, maintaining, and worrying about things that never truly mattered in the first place. The act of releasing possessions can feel emotional, even painful at times, because each item often carries a story, a memory, or a sense of identity. But as hard as it may feel in the moment, there's a profound sense of liberation on the other side. By letting go of what no longer serves you, you are saying to yourself, I am enough without all of this. You are recognizing that your worth isn't tied to what you own, but to who you are. The process of releasing is not just about getting rid of things. It's about shedding layers of who you no longer need to be. What's something you could let go of today that would make your life feel lighter? It doesn't have to be a massive overhaul of everything you own. Sometimes it starts with just one small thing. Maybe it's that shirt you haven't worn in years, or the old gadget you keep just in case. Or perhaps it's something bigger, like furniture that no longer fits your space or lifestyle. Each thing you release is a step toward freedom, a chance to reclaim a part of yourself that has been buried under the weight of material accumulation. Imagine the feeling of walking through your home and seeing only what brings you joy, only what serves a purpose. Picture how it would feel to open your closet and see clothes that you love, rather than pieces you've held on to out of guilt or habit. Envision the sense of clarity and peace that comes from knowing that your home is a reflection of your values, not your possessions. When you start to release what no longer serves you, something magical happens. You begin to feel lighter, more at peace, and more connected to what truly matters. The space you create physically mirrors the space you create emotionally. You open yourself up to new experiences, deeper relationships, and personal growth in ways you might not have thought possible before. It's not just about decluttering. It's about creating space for the life you want to live, unburdened by things that don't truly matter. So, take a moment to ask yourself, what could I let go of today? What is weighing me down that no longer serves me? You might be surprised by how transformative it can be to release even just a little. With each item you let go of, you make room for something far more valuable. Peace, freedom, and the ability to focus on what truly brings joy to your life. 3. Saying no to unnecessary social obligations. Saying no to unnecessary social obligations is one of the most empowering acts of self-care, yet it's something many of us struggle with for much of our lives. Have you ever found yourself at a social gathering, standing there with a polite smile, nodding along to conversations that don't interest you, all while secretly wishing you were at home, cozy with a good book, or sharing precious time with the people who truly matter to you? That familiar tug of guilt pulls you into these situations, doesn't it? You say yes because you feel you should, whether out of duty, habit, or the fear of disappointing others. But what if you allowed yourself to say no? So many of us spend years, decades even, trapped in this cycle of agreeing to things we don't truly want to do. We attend gatherings that drain us, accept invitations that feel more like burdens than pleasures, and engage in conversations that leave us feeling hollow. We often fear that saying no will make us seem rude, antisocial, or selfish. But here's the reality. Saying no isn't selfish at all. It's one of the most profound acts of self-respect and care you can give yourself. As we grow older, we begin to realize that time is our most precious resource. We start to understand that every minute spent doing something out of obligation is a minute taken away from something that truly enriches our lives. There's a deep sense of clarity that comes with age, a wisdom that tells us it's okay, more than okay actually, to prioritize our own needs. You've spent years, maybe even most of your life, putting others first, attend to everyone else's expectations, and saying yes to things that don't align with your true desires. But what would happen if you stopped? If you permitted yourself to decline those obligations that no longer serve you? Imagine the freedom that would come with saying no more often. Picture how much lighter your life would feel if you only said yes to things that genuinely brought you joy, fulfillment, or meaningful connection. How much more energy would you have if you no longer spent it on social obligations that left you feeling drained or out of place? You'd suddenly find yourself with more time for the things that matter. The quiet, cherished moments with your loved ones, the peaceful hours spent pursuing your passions, or even the simple pleasure of being by yourself, completely at ease. Saying no isn't about rejecting others. It's about embracing yourself. It's about recognizing that your needs, your comfort, and your happiness are just as important as anyone else's. By saying no, you are giving yourself the gift of presence, the ability to be fully present in the activities and relationships that bring you joy and fulfillment. You're no longer splitting yourself between obligations you don't care about and the life you truly want to live. Think about how much your social life would change if you started prioritizing your well-being over unnecessary obligations. You'd attend fewer events. Yes, but the ones you do attend would feel more meaningful and more aligned with your true self. You would surround yourself with people who energize you rather than drain you, and your time would be spent in ways that truly nourish your soul. You'd no longer feel that underlying resentment that often comes from agreeing to things out of guilt, nor would you feel the need to constantly explain or justify your choices to others. The beauty of saying no is that it allows you to say a more enthusiastic yes to the things that matter. It gives you the space to embrace the moments that bring joy, peace, and fulfillment into your life. Whether it's a quiet evening at home, a deep conversation with a close friend, or simply taking time for yourself, these are the experiences that nourish your spirit. When you stop saying yes out of obligation, you create room for the things that genuinely enrich your life, the things that light you up from the inside. What's remarkable about this process is that the more you practice saying no, the more confident you become in honoring your own needs. You begin to trust yourself more, knowing that you are allowed to choose what's best for you. The fear of judgment or guilt begins to fade, replaced by a deeper understanding that true self-care isn't about fitting into others' expectations. It's about creating a life that feels authentic to you. So, ask yourself, how would your life change if you started saying no to the things that no longer serve you? How much more vibrant, peaceful, and fulfilling would your days be if you only said yes to the invitations, experiences, and relationships that truly bring you joy? Your time, your energy, your life, they are precious. It's time to treat them as such, and that begins with the courage to say no. For embracing authentic beauty is a profound and emotional journey, one that goes far beyond the surface and touches the very core of who we are. From the moment we are young, society bombards us with narrow ideals of what beauty is supposed to look like. We are told that beauty is found in smooth, flawless skin, in a perfectly toned body, and in hair that shines with an impossible luster. Advertisements, movies, and social media create this illusion that to be beautiful is to be young, wrinkle-free, and untouched by time. But as the years pass and life leaves its mark on us, we start to realize that beauty is not imperfection. It's an authenticity. Think about it. Every wrinkle, every gray hair, every scar tells a story. These are not flaws. They are badges of honor, a reflection of the life you've lived and the experiences you've gained. Each line etched into your skin is a reminder of a moment of laughter, a tear shed, a challenge faced, and wisdom earned. These visible signs of aging are not something to be ashamed of. They are something to be proud of. They show that you've lived, that you've loved, that you've learned. And isn't that a far deeper, more meaningful beauty than the fleeting perfection of youth? What if we could truly shift our perspective and see beauty for what it is, an expression of our authentic selves, rather than a reflection of society's impossible standards? Imagine how much freer we would feel if we stopped chasing that elusive image of perfection that's plastered on magazine covers. What if we decided, right now, to embrace who we are exactly as we are, to celebrate our uniqueness, our individuality, and the stories that our bodies tell? Authentic beauty is found in the confidence to be yourself unapologetically. It's in the way you carry yourself, in the kindness you show, in the wisdom that radiates from within. It's in the strength of your character, not the smoothness of your skin. True beauty doesn't fade with time. It deepens. As we grow older, our beauty becomes less about how we look and more about how we live, how we love, and how we show up in the world. Think about the most beautiful people you've known in your life. Chances are, it wasn't their physical appearance that left the deepest impression on you. It was their spirit, their kindness, their strength, their ability to be fully themselves without worrying about whether or not they fit into society's narrow definition of beauty. That's the kind of beauty that lasts. That's the kind of beauty that inspires others and leaves a legacy. But it's not always easy to let go of the pressure to look a certain way, is it? The messages we receive from the world around us are constant, telling us that we need to fight the signs of aging, that we need to hide our flaws, and that we need to strive for an unrealistic version of beauty that's forever just out of reach. It's exhausting, isn't it? To always feel like you're not enough, to constantly compare yourself to images that aren't even real. What if you could just stop? What if you could release that pressure, breathe deeply, and accept that who you are right now is enough? How much lighter would you feel if you let go of the need to meet society's standards? How much more joy would you experience if you allowed yourself to appreciate your beauty, just as it is, without the constant self-criticism? You are already beautiful, not because you meet some external criteria, but because you are you. There is no one else in the world with your exact combination of experiences, thoughts, feelings, and wisdom. Your beauty is in your authenticity, in your willingness to show up as your true self, without pretending to be something you're not. Imagine the peace that would come with fully embracing your authentic beauty. No more comparing yourself to others, No more feeling inadequate because of a wrinkle or a gray hair. Instead, you'd wake up every day knowing that you are enough, that your worth isn't tied to how you look, but to who you are. You'd move through the world with confidence, with grace, with a deep sense of self-acceptance that radiates outward. And that kind of beauty, it's magnetic. It's the kind of beauty that draws people in and inspires others to embrace their authenticity. So, ask yourself, how much freer would you feel if you let go of the pressure to look a certain way? What would it feel like to stop chasing perfection and start celebrating who you are, exactly as you are? The freedom that comes with embracing your authentic beauty is transformative. It's not just about accepting the way you look. It's about embracing the whole of who you are, flaws and all. And when you do that, you not only find a deeper sense of peace within yourself, but you also permit others to do the same. Let your beauty be a reflection of your truth, your strength, and your heart, because that's where real beauty lies. In the courage to be yourself unapologetically, and in the wisdom to know that you are already enough. 5. Reevaluating activities that no longer bring joy. Reevaluating activities that no longer bring us joy can feel like an emotional turning point, a gentle yet powerful reminder that life is too precious to be spent on routines, habits, or traditions that no longer serve us. We often hold on to these activities not because they still light a fire within us, but because they've become a part of who we think we are. Maybe it's the hobby you once loved but now feels like a chore, or the weekly tradition that once brought comfort but now feels like an obligation. We cling to these things because they've been with us for so long, but deep down, we know that the time has come to reassess. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. It's difficult, isn't it? Letting go of something that once brought you joy can feel like losing a part of yourself. There's nostalgia attached to these activities and a sense of identity that gets wrapped up in them. But the truth is, just because something was once meaningful doesn't mean it will remain so forever. As we grow, our interests evolve, and what used to energize us may now feel like an emotional weight we're dragging behind us. And that's okay. Life is about change, about growth, and about knowing when to move forward. This stage of life, whether you're in your 50s, 60s, 70s, or beyond, is an opportunity to reassess how you spend your time. Time, after all, is one of the most valuable resources we have, and as we age, we become acutely aware of just how fleeting it is. Why waste it on activities that no longer spark joy or bring fulfillment? Why continue to pour energy into routines that leave us feeling empty, simply because they've become habit? Life is too short to hold on to things that don't serve us anymore. Maybe it's a hobby you once adored, gardening, knitting, painting, that you now approach with indifference. It used to make your heart sing, but now it feels more like a task to cross off your list. Or perhaps it's a tradition you've kept alive for years, even though it has begun to feel like a burden. The family gatherings that once brought laughter and connection now leave you feeling drained. The weekly meetups with friends no longer bring excitement, but rather a sense of duty. It's hard to admit when something no longer brings joy, but acknowledging that truth is the first step toward freedom. Letting go of what no longer serves us is not a loss. It's a gain. When we release the activities that no longer align with who we are, we create space. Space for new passions, new experiences, and new joys to enter our lives. When we clear out the clutter of outdated routines, we open ourselves up to the possibility of growth, of rediscovery. It's like making room in a crowded closet. You can't hang up a new coat if there's no space for it. What's something you could let go of today to make room for something better? It doesn't have to be a grand gesture. It can be something small, like deciding to skip a hobby that's become more of a chore than a joy. Maybe it's allowing yourself to decline that weekly coffee date that started to feel like an obligation rather than a pleasure. Or perhaps it's something bigger, like letting go of a long-held tradition that no longer resonates with your current life. The act of releasing is freeing, even if it feels difficult at first. It's an acknowledgement that you are evolving and that it's okay to change your mind about what brings you happiness. It's about permitting yourself to prioritize your well-being over the expectations of others, or even over the expectations you once had for yourself. By letting go of what no longer serves you, you are honoring the person you are becoming, rather than holding on to the person you used to be. Imagine how much lighter your life would feel if you let go of those activities that have become burdens rather than joys. How much more time and energy do you have to explore new passions, invest in experiences that truly fulfill you, or simply rest and recharge? Releasing outdated routines creates space, not just physically, but emotionally and mentally. It allows you to be present in your life, to engage fully in the things that matter most to you now, rather than holding on to things that mattered in the past. And who knows, by creating this space, you might discover new passions that ignite a fire within you. Passions you never would have found if you were still holding on to the old ones. You might find that by letting go of what no longer serves you, you are finally free to explore new possibilities, to dive into new experiences that bring you joy, growth, and fulfillment. So, what's something you could let go of today? What outdated habit, routine, or obligation is weighing you down? And how might your life feel if you finally released it? The beauty of this stage of life is that it's never too late to make a change. You have the power to reassess, to realign, and to choose joy. Let go of what no longer serves you, and make room for the wonderful, new possibilities that are waiting just around the corner. 6. Cutting ties with toxic relationships. Cutting ties with toxic relationships is one of the most difficult, but ultimately empowering decisions we can make for ourselves. Relationships are supposed to nourish us, lift us, and bring joy into our lives. But the harsh truth is that not all of them do. Some relationships leave us feeling drained, hurt, or diminished. Maybe it's that friend who always seems to bring a storm cloud with them wherever they go, their negativity seeping into every conversation, leaving you feeling exhausted after every interaction. Or perhaps it's a family member who seems to have made it their life's mission to criticize and belittle you, never offering support, only judgment. These toxic relationships weigh heavily on our hearts and souls. Over time, they become like emotional anchors, pulling us down and preventing us from living fully and freely. The longer we hold on, the more damage they do to our mental, emotional, and even physical well-being. And yet, for many of us, the idea of walking away from these relationships feels impossible. We tell ourselves we're being selfish for even considering it, that we should keep trying to fix things, to be more understanding. But here's the truth. Walking away from toxic people isn't selfish. It's a necessary act of self-care, one that can profoundly change the trajectory of your life. We deserve to be surrounded by people who bring positivity, support, and joy into our lives. We deserve to feel safe and valued in our relationships. So why do we so often cling to the ones that make us feel small, hurt, or drained? Sometimes it's because we've known these people for so long that it feels impossible to imagine life without them. Sometimes it's because they're family, and we've been taught that family relationships must be maintained at all costs. And sometimes it's because we've become so accustomed to the toxicity that we don't even realize how much it's affecting us. But the moment we allow ourselves to acknowledge that a relationship is toxic, something powerful begins to shift. We start to realize that our well-being matters more than keeping the peace or maintaining a connection that hurts us. we begin to see that letting go of relationships that don't serve us isn't about giving up. It's about creating space for something better. Have you ever had to walk away from a toxic relationship? If so, you know how emotionally challenging it can be. There's a sense of loss, even if you know deep down it's the right choice. You may second-guess yourself, wondering if you made the right decision. But after the initial heartache, something else happens, something beautiful. You start to feel lighter. The constant negativity that used to weigh on you begins to fade. You have more energy, more peace, and more space in your life for people who truly care about you. Letting go of a toxic relationship is like taking a deep breath after being underwater for too long. It's liberating, and it opens the door to healthier, more fulfilling connections. By cutting ties with those who drain us, we make room for people who uplift us, who see our worth and celebrate it. We begin to attract relationships that are based on mutual respect, kindness, and positivity. And perhaps most importantly, we start to heal. We reclaim the parts of ourselves that were hurt or silenced by toxic interactions, and we step into a space of self-love and self-respect. Imagine how different your life could be if you no longer had to carry the emotional burden of toxic relationships. Picture yourself surrounded by people who encourage you and who bring joy and light into your life. How much more energy would you have? How much more peace? When we let go of what's toxic, we make room for what's healthy, for what helps us grow and thrive. And that's not just about external relationships. It's also about the relationship we have with ourselves. Walking away from toxicity is an act of self-love, a declaration that you are worthy of more than what you've been tolerating. And let's be honest, toxic relationships don't change unless the people in them are willing to change. You can spend years trying to fix, manage, or repair the relationship, but if the other person isn't willing to meet you halfway, you'll always be left feeling empty. So instead of pouring your energy into a toxic connection, imagine investing that energy into yourself and into relationships that genuinely nourish your soul. Have you ever had to walk away from a toxic relationship? How did it change your life? For most people, the change is profound. There's an emotional weight lifted that allows for more joy, more creativity, and more space to simply be. It's a difficult journey, but on the other side of it is freedom. Freedom to live authentically, to surround yourself with love and positivity, and to honor your well-being above all else. Life is too short to spend it in the company of people who don't bring out the best in you. By letting go of relationships that don't serve us, we open ourselves to new possibilities, to connections that will nourish our souls rather than drain them. So, if you're still holding on to a toxic relationship, ask yourself, what would your life look like if you finally let go? What new joy, what new love, what new sense of peace might be waiting for you on the other side? It's time to find out. 7. Letting go of comparisons. Letting go of comparisons is one of the most liberating, yet challenging, shifts we can make in life. Comparison, as they say, is the thief of joy, and yet it's something we all fall into so easily, almost unconsciously. Think about how many times you've looked at someone else's life and felt that twinge of envy, that sinking feeling that you're somehow not measuring up. Maybe it's the friend who seems to have it all together. The perfect career, the beautiful home, the financial success. Or perhaps it's the neighbor whose family looks picture perfect from the outside, or the sibling whose accomplishments always seem to overshadow your own. These comparisons can be so subtle, yet their effects are profound. They slowly chip away at our sense of self-worth, leaving us feeling inadequate, less than, or incomplete. We start to believe the lie that because we don't have what someone else has, we're somehow falling behind. But here's the truth we often forget. Everyone's journey is different. We each walk our unique path. And what success looks like for one person is not what it will look like for another. When we compare ourselves to others, we're not just measuring our lives against something irrelevant to our own experience. We're robbing ourselves of the happiness we deserve. The constant act of comparison traps us in a cycle of discontent. We fixate on what others have, on what we think we should have, and in doing so, we overlook the beauty, the richness, and the value of our own lives. We fail to see our achievements, no matter how significant they are, because we're too focused on the things we don't have. It's a painful way to live, isn't it? Always chasing after someone else's life, rather than fully embracing and celebrating our own. But what if, instead of comparing yourself to others, you began to embrace your path, with all its imperfections, challenges, and triumphs? What if you decided that your journey, in all its uniqueness, was enough? Success doesn't look the same for everyone, and it's time we stop believing that there's a single standard we all need to meet. The reality is that success is deeply personal. For one person, it might mean a high-powered career and financial freedom. For another, it might mean raising a family, building meaningful relationships, or simply finding peace and contentment in the everyday moments of life. When you stop comparing yourself to others and start focusing on your journey, something incredible happens. You begin to appreciate the small victories, the everyday achievements that might have gone unnoticed before. You start to see your life for what it is, rather than what it isn't. And in that shift, there's a sense of lightness, a release of the weight that comparison brings. Imagine how much freer you'd feel if you could let go of that pressure to measure up to someone else's idea of success and instead embrace your definition. How much more joyful would life be if you stopped looking at others' lives through the lens of envy and instead focused on all the good that already exists in your own? Comparison blinds us to the blessings we already have. We become so fixated on what others are doing, achieving, or possessing that we fail to see the beauty in our own experiences. But your life, exactly as it is, with all its ups and downs, its twists and turns, is worthy of celebration. The challenges you've faced, the obstacles you've overcome, the personal growth you've experienced. These are victories. These are the things that make your journey uniquely yours, and they are worth acknowledging, no matter how small they may seem in comparison to someone else's story. The truth is, everyone has their struggles, their insecurities, their challenges. No matter how perfect their life may appear from the outside, we rarely see the full picture of someone else's life, and often, the very people we envy are dealing with hardships we know nothing about. So why waste time comparing yourself to an illusion, to a life that isn't even your own? If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 3 below to let me know that you are still here with me. When you choose to let go of comparisons, you open yourself up to a deeper sense of gratitude and fulfillment. You begin to live more fully in the present, appreciating the unique moments and opportunities that come your way. You start to define success on your terms, based on your values and desires, rather than someone else's. And in doing so, you reclaim the joy that comparison once stole from you. So, ask yourself, what if you stopped comparing yourself to others and started embracing your path, with all its imperfections and beauty? How much lighter would life feel if you celebrated your victories, no matter how small? How much more peace could you find in simply being content with where you are, right now, without constantly looking over your shoulder to see how you measure up? It's time to stop chasing someone else's life and start fully embracing your own, because at the end of the day, your journey is the only one that matters. Let go of comparisons and watch as the joy, the gratitude, and the fulfillment you've been longing for begin to flow freely into your life. You are enough, just as you are, and your path is uniquely, beautifully yours. Celebrate it. As we wrap up everything we've talked about today, I want to leave you with a question. What have you learned so far? Each of these reflections, whether it's letting go of comparisons, cutting ties with toxic relationships, or reevaluating old habits, are powerful reminder that life is too short to be weighed down by things that no longer serve us. Now it's your turn to take that next step. What's one thing you've learned from this video that you're going to bring into practice in your life? We'd love to hear your thoughts, so please share in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more inspiring content. Your support means the world to us, and we look forward to sharing more insights with you. Thank you for watching.